Alright, so we're working on a 2008 Buick Lucerne with a 3800 Series 3. The customer thinks maybe the brakes are an issue and there's a growling noise which sounds to me like it is the right front wheel bearing. So we ran a scan on it and it did show that it's losing the input signal from the right front wheel bearing. So we'll check it out, take it apart and see what's going on. It looks, just looking through the wheel, it looks like the brakes and the rotors are okay. And I drove it and it seemed alright, so we'll dig into it. We'll get the tires all off and give it an inspection and see what's going on. So they're not terrible. No. The brakes, I mean, they're dry, but they're probably like 50% of the way worn out. I'll talk to her and see what she'd like to do. We'll go ahead and compress this now, make sure it's all right. I know this is old school. They make better tools for this for sure, and I had one and I broke it. So we're back to C-clamp for now because for whatever reason I like to make myself suffer. But it's not too bad on something like this. Not a big deal. We'll get the caliper hanging up here. Let's see the best way we're gonna do this. Let's go through here. Try and get it. Just get it out of the way. There we go. There's one. Alright, two 15mm bolts. This is the noisy wheel bearing. Oh, it's bad for sure. So even that little bit of movement with the axle nut still tight, just that little bit of up and down is enough to make a whole lot of noise when it's going down the road. We got the big nut off the center. I had the wheel turned the other way, so it's turned passenger right now, but I had it turned driver almost to the lock to get these two bolts out of the back side. There's one here, there's one down here. It's 13mm. One piece of advice I would give anyone doing this is that you don't like, make sure your socket's on there. Use a good quality socket. Do not round the heads of these off. They do have some Loctite on them from the factory, and if you round that, it's a miserable job to get it out. So now I've got it turned passenger. We're gonna remove this one on the inside. Let's see if you can see it, this one right here. We're gonna remove that one, and then we'll get the wheel bearing working back and forth, and then we'll drive it off. I don't have a hub puller or the bar thing like I've seen on YouTube that sticks out that you hammer on. The only ones I've really had trouble with getting off are like a Pontiac Torrent and a Chevy Equinox. For whatever reason, they always seem like they're seized on there. So I'll get set up. We'll pull this bolt out. We'll work it back and forth and get it off. So maybe not the best camera angle, but the bolts are right back here on the back side. So sometimes a swivel, but what you don't want to do is tear up this boot on the axle at all. So normally with the right setup, which we don't have here, you can get in here and get this thing loose. Let's see if this is the right setup. That is the right setup. So feels like these have been off before. Yeah, most of the Loctite's gone on there. They normally don't come out quite that easy, but we got lucky. We'll take it. And now what we'll do is we'll get this little Ingersoll set up, and we'll hammer this back and forth here. Oops, banging the camera. Okay, hopefully everybody can see. The light's not real good right here, so I'm just gonna get it working back and forth. Just work it back and forth using a brass hammer. Just make sure the axle's loose here. Yeah, we're good. Sweet. All right, so we got the bearing all back on. We are going to put the caliper bracket back on. Just putting some anti-seize on the pins here. Just pretty well cover them. And we'll slide those together. No real big deal. Put this in here. Okay. So. Bracket bolts up. Got those tightened down. I'm leaving this socket on here, so just a reminder that I can go to torque it down. I usually jam a screwdriver in between here. I guess I could do that right now. A good heavy crummy old screwdriver, we'll just stick it in there, and then we can torque this down. We'll grab a torque wrench and torque her down. I'm sure this is boring to watch, but click, there we go.